Hello, Wolfpack. Bitcoin doesn't look too good, all right? And that is the topic of the video today. And we're going to be looking into that quite extensively here. And we're going to be seeing where the last possible place Bitcoin can potentially bottom out is and see a full recovery. Because below the place I'm going to talk about here, there is a very, very, very little chance of a full recovery, okay? I personally am bearish in the market. I've been bearish in the market since 63 to 66k, somewhere in that region, right? I was posting about how you guys should sell at that point. However, the drop right now and the drop as it has been so far has it's been terrible and we've avoided a massive loss there. But there has been a chance for recovery, okay? And where can Bitcoin no longer recover is the real question that we're going to be looking into. Obviously, it really does depend on fundamental events that are going on, right? Something might happen that might send Bitcoin unexpectedly way up. However, on a technical level, because technical analysis is the thing that predicted this drop, right? The fundamentals didn't predict this drop. The fundamentals look great. Everything in Bitcoin looked great. We had some Evergrande FUD going around. We had some stuff going around. There was definitely some fears. But in terms of Bitcoin, in terms of cryptocurrency, we had adoption on the largest level we've ever seen, and so the fundamentals weren't the cause of this drop. It was definitely the technicals. Okay, you could argue some aspects of the drop were caused by inflation rates and Evergrande situation. I mean, we had the actual very top of Bitcoin here. The all-time high we've had was the day inflation rates, or API was it APR or something, was released in the US. And obviously we saw that massive pump, and it was just kind of like a pump and dump, right? As soon as those rates were released of very, very high inflation, Bitcoin crashed. We haven't gone back to those prices since. And so there's obviously the argument to be made that it has been caused by other aspects, external factors. However, the technical analysis didn't look good. That's just a scenario, right? That's why I'm a technical analyst, because it didn't look good. I said here at 63k, when we made this lower high here, I said, okay, guys, this is the same thing we did in May, all right? And what happened after that? We saw a massive crash. Okay, so look, it was pretty clear that something bad was going to happen. A lot of people chose not to see that because they were too stuck up in their belief that it was going to go to all-time highs. I said my prediction for 113k was invalidated somewhere over here. I can't remember exactly where it was, but I quickly retraced on my point of view. I quickly said, hey, it looks bearish, and we dropped down to 42k from there. But yeah, point of this video, as I said, where is the last logical place Bitcoin can see a bottom in which it looks like it's going to see a full recovery, right? It doesn't look like that, but there's a chance, at least from a technical analysis standpoint. What I have said previously with Bitcoin is the most bullish scenario, and the thing we want to be seeing if we're going to head upwards, right? What I've said previously is a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern where we did something like this. Okay, that was the scenario that I saw for Bitcoin to actually see a full recovery. That's invalidated now, okay, because we've had a drop. We've had another drop, so that whole pattern is invalidated right now, which means that can't happen, which means the most bullish scenario I thought could happen isn't going to happen anymore. Okay, and that means, essentially, what now? And there is one more scenario in which Bitcoin can potentially see a double bottom formation into a full recovery. And this is what we're going to go over in this video now. The only way Bitcoin can successfully, in my opinion, recover to new all-time highs, right, within the next few months, is if we double bottom here at 46k, right? 46k, 45k, whatever you want to say. 46k, we need to see a double bottom so we can see something like this. A double bottom, come back up, break up above resistance, and head to all-time highs from there. That is the only scenario we have left, in my personal opinion. And I'll tell you why. And it needs to happen very soon, okay? Because if we go to the weekly chart, let's head over to the weekly chart here, and we go to the index here. And this is obviously going to be based off the 50-week SMA, which I've talked about extensively, okay? If we go to the weekly chart, this needs to happen within the next 4 days, okay? On the daily chart, we need to double bottom and go back up above 48.1k within the next 4 days. If that can happen, we will have double bottomed, and we would have stayed above the 50-week SMA on the weekly close, right? And we wouldn't have a bearish engulfing candle. If we stay at current prices, if we close at 45k, if we go down below 45k, that's a bearish engulfing weekly candle below the 50-week SMA, and that's a confirmation of the bear market, right? A full confirmation. I mean, it's undeniable at that point that the bear market is on. It's literally undeniable. I mean, you can say whatever you want. It is undeniable at that point that the bear market is on. We're below the market support band. We'd be below the 50-week SMA after rejecting from it for 4 weeks. okay? And the next logical step would be the 200-week SMA within about a year. At that point, that will probably be trading around 25 to 30K, okay? So look, this is it. This is very much it. I say it a lot, right? There's a lot of this is it's in the crypto market, and that's because that's just how it is, right? It's a very intense market. However, very much so, this is it, all right? And you know, I'm not one to kind of bullshit you guys, tell you what you want to hear. I mean, if I wanted to tell you what you wanted to hear, you know, I would have said at 63K when I thought we were bearish, hey guys, we're bullish, we're going to new all-time highs. I'm not like that. I'm telling you what I think, and what I think is this region right here, 46K, is the last possible chance Bitcoin's going to have recovery, and we're going to find out within the next 4 days. Okay, let's look into the technicals now, just on a general basis. So now that we've covered that, now that we've covered the last possible bullish scenario, let's look into the technical analysis. What we're seeing on Bitcoin is not very promising price action at all. Okay, we saw a break above this red line here that I'm going to circle, right? Break above that red line. We retested it for support, which was great. I said it was a bullish retest. Everything looked good. But all of a sudden, we ran out of buying momentum, right? If we take away all these indicators here, we can see in the volume, we ran out of buying momentum. We were descending in volume rapidly over the course of, you know, these weeks here of this uptrend. And we actually managed to reject from the bull market support band, which I'll bring up in 1 second. Give me a second here. I'll bring up the bull market support band here. We rejected from the bull market support band literally 5 days in a row. Okay, you can't see it because it hasn't registered on the weekly, but if we rejected from that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row, plus the rejection we had back here, and if you're removing all of these lines from this chart right now, you can see that this actually counts as a double top formation as well. So Bitcoin looks basically pretty terrible, and there's no real way around that right now. It looks terrible. We've fallen way back in, you know, with these downtrending and uptrending lines, with these red lines here that I've got on the screen. We've fallen within those lines once again after breaking above, and we're looking to find support there. Still even, you know, taking into account what I said about the double bottom formation, my target, well, not my target, but my re-entry zone for Bitcoin, as explained in multiple videos, is getting back above this yellow uptrending line, right? If we get back above that, I'll be bullish again. But that's a long way away, right? That's literally 55, almost 56K now, and that's uptrending quickly. And it's pretty clear, as per my pinned video, as per what I've said, that, you know, the market looks bearish right now. Bearish until proven otherwise, and this double bottom formation might be the last possible chance Bitcoin's going to have to prove otherwise. And I'll tell you why as well. One of the reasons why is because we have a bearish MACD cross incoming from the next couple of days. Now, if we can come down and we can double bottom out at 46K, 45.5K and go back up, we will actually avoid that bearish MACD cross. If we can't do that, unfortunately, bearish MACD crosses on the daily chart are pretty significant things, as long with, you know, as well as bullish MACD crosses, and so that won't be a good sign at all. You know, that would be a pretty clear sign for a further downwards momentum into this green box, which has basically been our ultimate target this whole time. This green box is between around 40K and around 42 to 43K. This is where we're seeing a massive amount of support on Bitcoin. Okay. You know, regardless of what I think is going to happen on a longer term scale, you know, I think if we lose the 50 week and we go down below 45K this week, close below it, you know, that's going to end us up at the 200 week within about every year, right? That's just based off technical analysis. But I do think regardless of that, there's obviously going to be bounces along the way, and I think that this green box is going to give room for a little bounce, a little dead cat bounce, and then possibly a larger term head and shoulders pattern that we've talked about many times, right? Between all these three peaks here, if we see the left shoulder here, the head, and then coming down to the green box and seeing the right shoulder back up to 53K and then crashing down within about a year. You know, that's what I would expect if we were to go to that green box. But the green box is a good bounce zone, right? I don't see us dropping straight through that green box. There's a lot of support in that region throughout the whole entire year. We've been building support in that region. But essentially, if we lose 45K, 46K, the green box is the next logical target. We'll scoop the lows of this long wick we had to the downside here, definitely. So look, another thing we have to be looking at as well is the RSI. And we can see that on the RSI we had a downtrending level of resistance, okay? And essentially we broke that to the upside, and we were coming down, and this daily candle, the last one we just had, was very important because it was deciding as to whether we were going to flip it for support, but we actually dropped down below it, and now it was acting as resistance. So that's bearish, right? Because every time we've seen those RSI resistance lines in the past on Bitcoin, we don't usually see them, act back as resistance. It's usually a clean break, and we, don't go back from there. We can see here it's a clean break. We wouldn't go back from there. We went to 29k all the way up to 53k. In September, we had one as well, and it was another clean break. We went from around 40k to 68k within a matter of months on both occasions, right? This one, we broke out to the upside. It failed because there's no volume in the market, and we ultimately have ended up, testing it as resistance once again. So it looks bearish, right? It looks bearish. And that was one of the leading kind of indicators that people were saying, hey, it looks bullish, and now that's actually failed, and we're going back to the downside here. So it doesn't look good at all. Another thing I can bring up is the 9 EMA. The 9 EMA is a very good kind of short-term dynamic support and resistance zone. You can see throughout the entirety of the September rally, it was holding as support. And as soon as it stopped holding for support, we saw some consolidation, then dropped to the downside, okay? We can see that throughout the entirety of this drop that we've had since, early November, it was acting as resistance. We didn't close above it once. As soon as we closed above it, we saw a little rally, but now we're back under it. So that was a fake out, right? And that's a terrible sign. Okay, so the 9 EMA is very important on shorter term scale. The 50-week and the 50-day and the 200-day, very important once again. And the reason why these ones are important, let me bring up the bull market support band as well so I can talk about this more extensively. The reason why these ones are important is because they are the medium term to long term dynamic support and resistance zones, right? The daily chart is very useful when it comes to getting a mixture between short term and long term. Some people would say, hey, the daily chart is not long term, or the daily chart is not short term. It actually is, a very good mixture. I mean, if you're looking at anything other than the daily chart, too much, you can make a very, very emotional decision. So the daily chart gives you a great idea, great mixture between long and short term. That's why I use it a lot. But what we've done on the daily chart here is we've closed below the 200-day SMA, which is terrible because that was holding for support, and that was holding for support with the RSI line as well. We've lost both of those right now, and now it's acting as resistance, okay, which is terrible. And we can also note on Bitcoin that the resistance is strengthening above us as well, because the bull market support band is now acting in conjunction with the 50-day SMA in that 53k region. And that's really not what we want to see, because we were rejecting from just the bull market support band, and now if we go up again, we will be rejecting from the 50-day and the bull market support band. So there's a lot of support resistance building in that region. Let's bring up the VVPR. And another thing that's happened that's very bearish in the market is we've closed below the POC, the point of control in the VVPR for this entire region from around July to now, right? The point of control is essentially an area in which the most historical trading volume is happening. If you're below that, act as resistance. If you're above that, it acts as a support, okay? We're below it, we've dropped below it, closed below it. It acted as a support on one daily candle close, but we weren't able to sustain that. And now we're closed way below it, and we're basically... I like to, I've said this so many times, but I like to think of the VVPR, the volume profile, as hills, okay? If you're running up the hill, it's very hard to get up. If you're running down it, it's very easy to get down. So if we're kind of, halfway down a hill here, for us to run back up, it's going to be significantly harder than for us to go down, okay? It's a very simplistic way to looking at it. And so the most logical kind of move is for us to go down here into the green box. If we zoom out and get a longer term VVPR, we can see we've still closed below the POC, but we can get a bit of a better example of what these hills mean here. And what it means for Bitcoin right now is the next logical step, right, according to the volume profile, and according to a lot from what I'm seeing as well, is 42k. That is the next logical step, because that is the crevice on the VVPR, right? When you get into a crevice on the volume profile, it means that you're at a midpoint and you can start to reset the market and decide where you're going to go, because you have to run either way is uphill, either way is very hard, so you can rely on other indicators. Right now, since we're in the middle of the hill, we can kind of just roll down here, and that's kind of the direction which the market is telling us we can go. So look, not a lot is looking too good for Bitcoin, but we did go over that bullish scenario. This is basically the last chance we're going to have. Okay, 46k, 45.5k. We've really got to do something very quickly before the weekly close. By the weekly close, we want to be at 48.1k at the minimum. Okay, if we're not at 48.1k at the minimum by the weekly close, not looking good. I mean, it's not looking good to begin with. That's why I've been bearish, and I've still maintained my bearishness. But, it really not looking good at that point. And I think by that point, you'd be insane to believe that Bitcoin's going to go to new all-time highs, at least anytime soon. And the next logical target, as it has been this whole time, would be firmly within this green box before any kind of rally at all on Bitcoin. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you appreciate the kind of, non-biased kind of stuff I like to bring here. I don't want to you know, the way I see it is I could have, you know, as I've said, 3 to 5 times the amount of followers if I just constantly spouted out bullish stuff. But there's no point, right? Because what am I actually going to get from that in terms of, you know, myself and what I'm giving back to my community? I'm just going to be a liar, right? It's not worth it. I'd rather tell you how I'm reacting to the market. And if I'm wrong, at least I was wrong being honest. So at the end of the day, you guys have to remember that I'm just an opinion. Don't take me too seriously, right? Definitely consider what I'm saying, of course. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching the videos. But, you know, I'm an opinion. You guys need to be able to form your own opinions in the market. Everyone's going to have bias to a certain extent. So just keep that in mind. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll catch you in the next one.